Bonjour mes amis, this is SERVi Homestead, and you are about to witness the restoration of an ancient tractor. It's time to start working on the little Yanmar. We have the little shelter the boys helped me build. I still need to plug these holes with caulk, but it's decently covered. So we got to start taking this engine apart to change the head gasket and the nozzles of the injectors and to set the injector timing, and it's a good bit easier than working on the old Farmall 706. As of now, I don't think it even turns over. I'm thinking water has gotten into the cylinders and made them kind of crusty. Let's see. Oh, the battery died again. But we charged the battery last weekend and tried to crank it, and it sounded like it was vapor locked or something. It hardly moved and would just kind of jam, and the starter was getting hot. Alright, so here's what needs to happen. Take the hood off by removing the bolts that hold it on. It's bolts and some rubber grommets. Then you need to take the radiator off. It's a bracket right here, and a couple of large bolts that go in from underneath, one here and one on the other end. This little hose that goes to the side of the engine, and then the main hose at the bottom and the main hose at the top. Those all need to come off. Remove your alternator, simply loosen it here. The belt will pull it forward. Take your belt off. And you may not have to take the water pump and the fan off. Right here, here's the water pump. You could probably leave it bolted on because what we're taking off is the whole head. So then you want to take off your air filter and the fuel lines, and then the valve cover gasket, the valve cover and gasket right here. And it's only a few bolts holding that on. There's one right there, another one back there. I seem to remember there not being many. Could it be only these two? Maybe so. Might only be these two. And this is your decompression gauge linkage. So when you move this thing right here, it hits a lever that slightly opens the exhaust valve, so you have less compression when you're initially starting the engine. So you press down the clutch and turn the key, and when it starts to crank at about full speed, you let this go and boom, it starts up. So you want to remove this by taking this pin out in this rod. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, the little return line for the excess fuel, you do want to disconnect this as well. Did I miss anything? Oh, the exhaust is right here. So you take off these 4 bolts to get the muffler off. I don't remember if I had to take that off or if I just took it off here. Might just need to take it off here. Yeah, maybe just here and take this whole thing off. And here, I think this is for oil. So you do need to take this line off too. It goes all the way around to down here. Oh, and this little short L hose that goes to the water pump and the block. So 2 of them down here that go from the water pump. A little one down here and this big one at the top. And then you'll be at the valve area, and then the head gasket is here between the engine block and the head where the compression and combustion happens. So once you take all of that off, you'll be able to replace the head gasket, and I'm also going to do some work on my injectors. So that's my journey. Today I'm going to start taking this stuff off. I won't show you guys all of that. I might show you the reassembly, but I want this to be a fairly short video to hopefully help some of you out there with a 2 or 3 cylinder Yanmar. Alright, I got the radiator off. in the air filter housing. These two valve cover nuts are off. Be careful not to lose those little O-rings. One quick tip, you want your engine to be fairly clean, so blow it off with some air, maybe spray it with some brake cleaner or something. Rinse it down with some diesel and a brush and catch it underneath in a pan. Look at that milkiness. See? So the valve cover is off. These are my rocker arms, my intake and exhaust. And look at that milkiness. That shouldn't be there. So water is getting into my oil. So the whole reason I know I need to dig this deep is because the last time I touched this tractor I had trouble with the radiator leaking because I hit a branch. And then when I soldered it and went to test it, the radiator was still leaking, but I was getting water just flowing out of the exhaust pipe. And that ain't good. So I already changed the head gasket once, but I must have done something wrong. I know I didn't torque it up quite enough at the beginning, and that's probably part of the problem. So these are the head bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they need to be around 115 foot-pounds. When you break the nuts on these head bolts, don't do two side by side. So if you break this one loose, then go over here somewhere and break that one loose, then break this one loose, then this one, then this one. Do some kind of a crisscross pattern, because as soon as you break them loose, there's a lot of force down there, and that side might want to come up and you could sort of warp your head. Muffler's off. It's got water in it. That ain't cool. So this tractor was made in Japan in about 1976. So everything's metric.
That's melt off. I need to get this bracket off holding the alternator.
So I was able to turn the engine a little bit by hand. I rotated it just a hair so that none of the valves were being pressed open. Da, 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 da.
Head is loose.
I'm praying that this will work. I really need a tractor right now. Oh, forgot to take this one off. Duh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. Watch your push rods. Got it. Woohoo! It's heavy. Uh-oh. Yeah. Definitely water damage.